Nick Hodge here with Resource Doc Digest. I'm sitting down with some of the executive team from AUST Gold, Joe Ovsenik, Executive Chairman, and Ken McNaughton, VP of Exploration. This is a new issue, recently IPO'd on the NYSE, so I wanted to talk to you both about the team and the project, so thanks for being here at Beaver Creek.
I appreciate that.
Joe, I guess I'll start with you. You guys both have extensive history in the mining sector, had a very successful exit, a multi-billion-dollar exit with Pretium a couple of years ago. So why don't you talk about the team a little bit and why you're lending your skills to AUST Gold?
Oh, okay, well, I'll jump in first and
yeah, you go.
Get going. So, well, Ken and I have worked together since back in '96 with Silver Standard. At that point, we were just starting up to build up, the premier silver resource company. And between '96 and 2010, we took Silver Standard from a market cap of, maybe what, 50, 60 million back then. Yeah. We left in 2010 to start up Pretium. We were at a couple billion, with 2 billion ounces of silver resources in the ground, and had taken the company from an explorer to a silver producer, listed on the NASDAQ and the TSX. And then while at Silver Standard, Ken's team discovered the Brucejack mine, formed up Pretium, sold the asset to Pretium. We moved over to Pretium, and we took Brucejack from discovery to production in under 8 years. Yeah. So it was a big push for us, and we had a great time and accomplished a lot there. So we've done a lot together, and coming out of Pretium, we've known Dennis and Darcy Higgs,
that's right,
for quite some time. And, Dennis has a great background, most recently sort of in the energy side with uranium, with energy fuels, but before that, Uranus. So look, we've all worked together, well, at times, but we all have experience in bringing projects from discovery and advancing them. And that's what we feel lends things with Austin. Our view with Austin is, look, let's go looking in the best jurisdiction for gold in the world, which is Nevada, and look for projects that, we're looking for elephants because we want to take them discover them, advance them, and sell them off to a major. And that's sort of the way we see things happening at Austin.
You mentioned Dennis Higgs there, who you sort of said is quarterbacking this deal, and he's got expertise and experience with major U.S. exchanges. I wonder if you could talk about the raise you guys just did, the 13 million you raised in the IPO, and why the NYSE listing is so important.
Well, NYSE, the U.S. market, that's where the liquidity is, and so it's just the place to be. Both our previous companies, we had an NYSE, Pretium, we had an NYSE, Silver Standard Amex. Dennis had experience with the NYSE Amex. And so it's the place to go for raising money for Nevada, deep market, lots of liquidity, and just, look at it, it's a financial capital.
That's it.
So if you're going to be anywhere, if you can be in New York, it's a place to be. And so, tough market for an IPO. And yet, Dennis, did a great job. Took it, IPO'd at $4, raised 13 million US dollars. So nice funds in the treasury, allows the company to kick off, start doing that exploration. That really is the first step for discovery.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about next. That exploration is where you get the most bang for your buck in the market, right? When you come up out of the ground with a nice hit, you can really see share prices move. So Ken, maybe talk to me a little bit about the projects. He mentioned we were elephant hunting in Nevada. You've also got a project in Oregon. Let's talk about the holes you just drilled and the holes you want to drill at the various projects.
Well, Kelly Creek sitting there, with Marigold and what's the other? I always forget the other one.
A Lone Tree.
Lone Tree. So, there's big deposits, and Rabbit Creek, Twin Creeks, they're all up at the north end of this trend. It's a great spot to be. There's some historical drilling. And so what we sighted on now is in around that area, looking at the favorable geology, having done the groundwater survey, which sort of pointed to some newer trends. And then, okay, well, let's go down and test those. But really, the philosophy now is what we've done over the years is get in good projects with good geology, and then do your best, advance it. If it doesn't get over the hurdle, get rid of it, move on to the next one. And so, you just have the conveyor going, you have the projects in the pipeline, And if at any point they stall, well, it's too bad. We all hate that to happen. So that's Kelly Creek. It's the first one we've drilled.
4 holes done, right? Is
4
that right?
holes done. Everything's waiting. We're out waiting for assays now. So that's, you know, based on some other companies, we're going to say 6 to 8 weeks for assays, depending. And then we're permitting at 4 Mile Basin. Yep. There we're dealing with Forest Service, which is a little slower process than BLM. It is what it is. It's a very interesting project. It's a geologic concept, but the guys that brought it to us, Bud Hillemeyer and Perry Durning, great explorationists, award-winning. We dealt with them in Mexico with Silver Standard, and Camino, we forgot about Camino, or Camplats with Camino Rojo. So these guys, when they say, here's a project, you have a hard look at it. So that's one we're permitting. And then the second one that they brought in was Stockade.
That's right.
Which is up in Oregon. And it, you know, it's a very interesting project. There's some historical work. There's some historical drilling all pointing to bulk tonnage near surface. But, you know, we kind of think the main potential is looking more down at depth, looking at higher grades. Because it's Oregon, you know, it's not that you can't permit there, but you know, it's a process. So you're going to have an easier time with a high grade underground than you are with a bulk tonnage.
But Oregon's heating up on the exploration
it's
side.
getting better, and the state, like we just talked with someone with Grassy Mountain, they're coming along. They all recognize everyone's looking for revenue now. You know, they've all signed pot on, so now where's the next revenue coming? So, you know, mining in the right area, and you know, certainly the east part of the state's the place to be in Oregon.
You know that sometimes you read the news stories, they're trying to succeed and become a part of Idaho, right? It's taken over.
Just the east, yeah. Well,
Jefferson, the state of Jefferson, love it.
It makes more sense, quite honestly. But at any rate, we won't go into U.S. politics.
So, what do timelines look like for those 2 other projects you just mentioned, 4 Mile and Stockade?
Well, I think Stockade, they can probably get their permits within the next few months. I don't know exactly where Bob is. Bob Hatch is doing the filing on that, but those will move because they're BLM. They'll move relatively quickly. And you know what? Honestly, I have no experience with Forest Service, so I can't predict.
Yeah, but Forest Service tends to be, you know, that 9 months to a year, and so it's in the works. And part of 4 Mile is BLM land.
Yeah.
So you know we have some experience permitting with BLM, and that at this stage for initial grassroots drilling, it goes quickly. Yeah, so I expect that'll come fast.
You guys have a super tight share structure, so I would assume that any results could see the shares move quite quickly and to the upside. And so I want to ask you, Joe, what does the next sort of 12 months look like? He sort of mentioned, Ken sort of mentioned, drill to kill, right? If the project's not working out, moving on. So maybe frame up the next 12 months for us and what the vision is for Austin Gold with maybe other projects in the pipeline.
Well, look, as Ken mentioned, we got to get on the ground. We got to drill them, and look, we've got, as much as it's drill to kill, like we've got property in a great spot on the Carlin Trend. We're on the Jarrett Canyon, 4 Mile, not far from Round Mountain, same rocks. Look, these properties have a lot of potential. Yeah. So we just got to get on the ground to drill them. So it's that startup, getting the permits in place. But as we get the permits in, we'll start drilling them. Can't really give you a timeline on some of them, but we'll be drilling this year. Mm-hmm. And look, we'll be looking for more projects.
Always looking for more.
We see something that's attractive to us, we'll look to pick it up. And because really, you get one big discovery, that's where the value is created in mining. It's that discovery phase, which sends the price. And as you say,
absolutely, that Lassonde curve,
with a tight share price, and because it doesn't, you discover something with a couple $100 million of value with not much of a share structure, tight share structure, that value is there and people recognize it right away. And if you really lunk into an elephant, you know, you're looking at pretty fast 500 million of value if you come into a nice gold property.
And what would be your goal to exit? Would it be to sell that to another company, or would it be to continue down the road? I know we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves.
Oh, look, we have different philosophies, and you know, really, we got to talk a little more strategically at the company. Our experience has always been you keep driving a project forward, and that way it shows the value, and that brings people in to look for it. With Pretium, you know, the market, we were advancing it, and the market tanked. If you remember, sort of 2012,
absolutely,
16, 17 was not pretty. So we built we built Brucejack because that's where the market was. If the market had been different, somebody would have come in and taken that from us, because we look at what creates the best value. We're not, you know, married to a project where, you know, we're going to be the guys building this. It's okay, what creates the best value for shareholders?
But if we need to build it, we will.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line. Where other companies will say, oh, well, we're going to build it. But if you haven't built a mine, you know, you've got some credibility issues. But, you know, we've all done it. So we can do that if that's the way the project goes.
Well, that goes back to the team, right, and the experience that they have. We've seen some failed projects here in recent memory that, for whatever reason, there's cost overruns or they just don't have the experience to build a mine. So.
Mining is a tough business.
Absolutely.
So you need to have some gray hair.
Last question is on, well, I'm starting to get mine as well. Last question on the cycle, which you guys have seen. So I guess just your thoughts on the macro picture. Where are we in the cycle, and what are your thoughts on the precious metals here?
Oh, on the current cycle? Look, you know, this happened, you know, say analogously, go back to 2007, 8. We had the great financial crisis. Gold actually came off. I think we were about $1,000 down about 750, if I
or less.
Yeah, you know, and then from there it built up to 2012, where it hit $1,900 or 1912. So it really, there's a lag between the inflation and the economic sort of crisis, and then it takes off. So I think we're not that far away from gold starting to move up. It's just a question of, you know, where do we start seeing that bottom on things? And after today, in the general market, you're starting to get down closer to what, you know, say Morgan Stanley and the others are saying is getting closer to that bottom.
Sure, it's bounced off the high 1600s a couple times. I think that's found its support there, and so see if we can't make another run at 1800. Joe?
Yeah. Oh, look, we're looking for a run at 2000 plus. I think is reasonable on this next run up leg to get north of 2000.
Especially if inflation stays sticky, then it just has, the fundamentals have to drive gold eventually.
Oh, it's been a relative safe haven, held up more than the market has so far, at least when you look at the S&P and the NASDAQ. So
look, it's solid. Gold's well, we're preaching to the choir here, but we're believers.
Good. Well, Joe, Ken, thanks for taking the time to tell us about Austin Gold. We look forward to following the story as you get those first assays out from Kelly Creek, and as you start to drill these other projects here. Really appreciate it.
Very good.
Thank you very much, Nick.